everyone. My name is Hady Raphael, and today on the show, CFM Montreal loses again at home against Atlanta. They also acquire Kwadwo Opoku as a striker. Despite a good effort, the Canadian men's national team exits the Gold Cup in the quarterfinals. And of course, the women's national team starts its quest for the World Cup. That and a lot more on episode 139 of The Ball is Round. And I'm joined today by none other than Eve Powell. Hey, Eve, how are you today?
I am doing all right on this rainy Monday. How are you, Hady?
I'm fine. I just want to apologize for the people that are watching our video feed. We have a new background. As you can see, we're very excited. We told you that things are going to come. We love it. By the way, I just want to hear your thoughts about it. But unfortunately, we're not really used to it yet. So that's why the animation sometimes is going to be a bit difficult. But we'll get used to it as the episodes go on. So no worries at all. We're just trying that new background. Send us your thoughts on the new background that you see. Eve, yes. We have a very, very, very busy episode.
Oh my God. Don't we ever?
Exactly. So let's jump right into this, like right away. Okay. So
yes, we have no time to waste.
you're the one that's going to talk about the CF Montreal game against Atlanta United that was played last Saturday.
Absolutely. So let's take a quick look at the lineup first. I don't know about you, but I'm definitely more excited to talk about some of our other topics. So we will take the express route for this one.
For sure.
So here's the lineup versus Atlanta. So we have, of course, not a ton of surprise. However, we have Josie Roy, Joel Waterman, Rudy Camacho, George Campbell forming the back three. We had Gabriela Corbo, of all people, playing right wing back with Ariel Lassiter on the left flank. Nathan Saliba and Victor Wanyama in the midfield with Bryce Duke supporting Sanusi Ibrahim and Mason Toy. So what did you think about that lineup? Like, what did you think about seeing Gabriela Corbo at right wing back? Because I think that's probably like the biggest maybe surprise.
Yeah, there wasn't any surprises except this one.
Mm-hmm.
I think it makes sense. Gabriela Corbo already played as a right back a few times. We knew he had the ability of playing there. Seeing him as a right wing back, yeah, of course, it's an offensive role. But every time Gabriel Corbo went forward, like the few times he did under Wilfred Nancy, he wasn't really out of depth. When he went forward. So I wasn't really shocked. I think this was the best decision that Hernan Lozada could have taken with
in the circumstances.
Exactly, with all the absences, with Zed Bigina being here, Aaron Herrera not being here, and so on. No, I think it was very intelligent, and he had a very good game, right?
Yeah, agree. Just say a quick hi to Robbie. Hello,
hey, Robbie.
And good evening. All right. No, agree overall. So, Hady, I mean, let's call a spade a spade. This match was not tremendously exciting, even less so if you were watching as a Montreal fan instead of as an Atlanta fan, for sure. Montreal, unfortunately, only managed to put one shot on target, and they wound up being shut out at home for a second consecutive match. Did you notice anything in the offensive tactics where you thought maybe there was a lack or somebody could have done better? Was it Hernan Lozada? Was it individual players not showing up? Like, what's explaining this across 180 minutes?
Listen, the first half was pretty okay, right?
Yeah.
And CF Montreal created a few chances. And I asked Lozada at the presser, I asked him, what did you think didn't happen? Why didn't you score a goal? And what happened with the offensive animation? And his answer was very simple. He's like, forwards are getting chances. We are giving them minutes. We are giving them confidence by choosing them over and over. At the end of the day, they just have to put the ball in the back of the net. And at that point, they need to look at themselves. So I think it's the first time that Hernan Losada really throws the forwards under the bus, in my opinion. I think he tried quite a few things, but I think he lacks creativity from time to time.
I would have to agree with you. It's really, I feel almost like it's entirely on Bryce Duke's shoulders if they want to use that midfield to build up the play. And I mean, that's a lot to put on a player. I know Georgi Mihailovic was able to pull it off when he was with CF Montreal. But of course, I mean, he's a definitely unique and special player for sure. And Bryce Duke is, I think, a little bit earlier maybe in his development. He came up a little bit differently. So I kind of see where he's coming from. But also, yeah, I mean, the service wasn't fantastic for the forwards. But at the same time, you got to take the chances that you do get.
Exactly, because Sunusi had a chance. I think Mason Toye had a chance at one point. Bryce Duke had 2 chances where he failed to shoot the ball and decided to give a very awkward passes.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about Bryce Duke because this player has a great vision. But at one point, everybody knows you're going to give a pass. If you don't shoot, the defenders are just not going to block the shot anymore. And they're just going to wait for the pass and block the passing lanes. And that's exactly what they did. They know he's not going to take a shot from outside the area. And at that point, he becomes very, very predictable. So Bryce Duke needs to change things up a bit. And also Hernan Losada, at one point, I don't know why Bryce Duke was left on the pitch.
Agree.
He was nowhere to be seen in the second half. Nowhere to be seen. He was really subpar. And on the other hand, same thing for Mason Toye. So at one point, yeah, we can blame the strikers. We can blame the offensive animation. But also, did Losada choose the right player for the substitutions? I don't think he did. We praised him for choosing the right players that came in quite a few times here on the Ball Is Round. But on this game, and even in the previous game against New York City FC, his substitutions weren't really inspiring. And I think he could have done a lot better.
Exactly, I agree. And let's face it, I mean, we could kind of talk about some letdowns until the cows come home in this match. But let's talk about Nathan Saliba. He got another start in midfield next to Victor Wanyama. And for me, he's starting to look more and more at home for, I think, a player who we were maybe thinking could benefit from a loan out early on in the season when, he also started and struggled a lot more. What did you make of his performance against Atlanta?
He's a young player. He's learning the ropes.
I think he's getting significantly better, though.
He is very, very. I think in the first half hour, I think that was the best performance of Nathan Saliba this season. He was really, really good. He was he added fluidity in the midfield. He gave the right passes. He added an extra value. And that's what you want to see from your youngsters. And I'm reading a lot on social media now. Everybody's trying to send Sean Rea to on loan. No, do not send Sean Rea on loan. He has what it takes to take 10, 15, 20 minutes in games. The same as Nathan Saliba. He's not going to be a starter until the end of the season. He's just going to be a rotational player that's going to come and give whatever he can for 50 minutes, 60 minutes, 30 minutes, 70 minutes sometimes. But he's not going to be a main starter. What we need to do as a club, and what I hope that Olivier Renard and Vasily Karantzidis are going to do, is just get rid of the players that they thought were going to be starters and are not playing to the level required. We're talking about Ahmed Hamdi. We're talking about Matko Miljevic. Those players are the ones that need to go away.
And not to mention the salaries that they command as well.
Exactly. And so those are the players that need to go away. So hopefully, we all know that this year is sort of a transition year because last year was the last year of the Nancy era, the first cycle of Olivier Renard. This is the first year of the second cycle. We talked about it at the beginning of the year. So we know that it's that transition year where you go into the second part, a new cycle, and that's this year. So hopefully we'll see those moves at the end of the season, or maybe now during the transfer market.
That's true. And I It's too bad because I did want to just touch really quickly on a couple of other things because that would have been an excellent segue to your next point, Hady.
Of course. Go ahead.
But on the Atlanta goal, anything for me, I have nothing to say about the goal. I mean, I can understand why Rudy Camacho felt compelled to intervene on the Atlanta player. You know, I have nothing else to say about the goal that Montreal conceded. You know, the ball bounced off the post, and it's just whoever is most alert to the chance is going to take advantage.
Yeah.
But you have a different feeling judging by your face.
It's just that I don't know if I like the offside not being called when it's too close. I didn't watch the replay, but I have a feeling that the Atlanta player could have been called offside if you played the lines. But I'm not a fan of that. I know we benefited from it at one point during the season against Miami, I think, where I know we were offside by a few centimeters.
Yeah.
I think it was the same this time. I'm not a fan of that. You know, you have a tool, you have VAR. At one point, even if it goes, you know, if it's positive for us or negative for us, I think it's a good thing to use the tool that you have at your disposal. So that's the only thing I have to say. But what a bad goal to concede. What a really bad goal to concede.
Yeah, it was pretty dismal. That's for sure. Yeah. And obviously, all the more so when we know that Montreal would go on to lose this match 0-1. Yeah. For sure, 100%. Anything else to add on this one? Like, I'm not super in the mood to dwell on it in the spirit of honesty.
I'm just gonna add just a few things. We have to say, we have to really congratulate that defense because they managed to play a very good game.
They did.
You know, knowing that you have a world champion with Almada, Thiago Almada, playing with Atlanta United. I think the score could have easily become 3-4, 5-0 if that defense wasn't really
that's true.
Concentrated and composed. And I think the defense had a very, very good showing. So whenever there's bad things, we say them, but let's say it whenever there's good things. And defensively, CF Montreal is really making us proud. Let's say it.
And I suspect, you know, Rudy Camacho is going to find himself suspended for the upcoming match versus Chicago. However, I think he can actually benefit from having that match off and getting a little bit of rest.
For sure. And you know, we have enough central defenders to play the rotation. You know, I hope that at one point we're going to groom that replacement for Rudy Camacho in the middle of the three. So hopefully it's not going to be George Campbell because I don't like him in the middle. Hopefully it's going to be Joel Waterman. But you know, it's time right now to start, you know, making sure that whoever comes in next year has, you know, whatever it takes to be that general in the middle of the back three, if the back three remains.
Agree. Anything else that, you know, I mean, like for me, this wasn't a super memorable match, honestly.
No,
it's not one that I think we're going to write home about, you know, not a ton of chances from either team. And there was definitely some lack in quality.
It's a bad result for CF Montreal, you know.
Totally.
They're now 9th with 26 points. There's 5 teams with 26 points. So until I think the 13th position, they're all, you know, with the same amount of points.
Yeah.
It was a good way for CF Montreal to at least, you know, get a break and get some sort of an advantage on the other teams. They failed to do that.
Yeah.
They have 2 very, very, very important games this week in Chicago and against
Charlotte.
Charlotte at home at Stade Saputo next week, Saturday. So I think now that you lost that game, those 2 games become must wins.
Agree.
So
totally agree.
We'll see that from Hernando Sada and his team.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree with you. These are absolute must wins. And unfortunately, Montreal has painted themselves into that corner, like you said.
Yeah, exactly. So, my apologies if you hear a weird noise. I think it's my neighbors, you know.
Are they vacuuming?
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing, but it's very weird. So my apologies. Good. So moving on to the next subject, CF Montreal. a lot of people are saying, and we're saying, that CF Montreal never acquires players early. They always wait until the last day to do panic buys and always very weird choices and everything. Well, Olivier Renard decided to show them his worth by just acquiring directly Kwadwo Mahala Opoku from LAFC in return for 1,650,000 in 2023 general allocation money and 100,000 in 2024 general allocation money. The club also, in a separate deal, acquired 100,000 in 2024 general allocation money from LAFC in return for a 2023 international spot.
Not at all confusing.
It's two different transactions.
Yeah, they kind of got announced together.
Yeah, they announced it together, exactly. So at the end of the day, if you want to put it plainly, 1,650,000 to LAFC plus an international spot, and CF Montreal receives 100,000 in 2024 GAM and Kwadwo Mahala Opoku. What did you think about that transaction? Or those two transactions?
I mean, he's a young player. He did play a really big role for LAFC last year. He did play in all of their regular season matches, and of course, he played in the playoffs as well, which bodes well, certainly. Definitely, though, got some airs of Olivier Renard about him. He's only 21 years old, so of course, very, 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 very Olivier Renard develop a player-esque. Interesting to see, interesting to see kind of his trajectory, I guess. He's originally from Ghana, and he began his career at a Ghanaian academy. Then he signed professionally for LAFC in 2020. Really interesting. I don't know how else to say it. Really interesting. It doesn't surprise me. Montreal is struggling for sure. He typically plays as a forward, but primarily as a right winger. So that is definitely going to require a little bit of adjustment given the current formation that Hernan Lozada has chosen to play with. But he's an interesting player for sure. He is somebody who has caught the eye. If you've watched an LAFC match where he's played, and he for such a young player, he doesn't necessarily look out of his depth in MLS like some young players can. And I mean, let's face it, if he's been around the league since 2020, it means he's experienced a lot of the weirdness of MLS, which hopefully bodes well for the adaptation period. What do you think, Hady?
A lot of positive to say on that move. First of all, it's the kind of profile that we don't have within the squad. So first of all, it's someone that plays. I thought that Sunusi was going to be that player, but he's not. He's someone that really likes to drop into midfield, to take the ball and move forward with it. That's Sunusi. Opoku is the one that really going to take depth. He's going to go and he's going to make forward runs and use that space between the central defense and the opposing central defense and the goalkeeper. And that's something that we need. We don't have that kind of profile. Now, if Hernan Lozada stays in that formation of 3-5-2, that's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting with either Mason Toure or Shinonzo Offor, depending on who he's going to be paired up with. He's going to play forward because we don't play with wingers. So I think it's going to be very interesting. What's also interesting about Opoku is that it's a player that scores important goals. He did score very important goals with LAFC. He's not going to be that player that's going to score 20, 30 goals a season. That's not who he is. But the clutch goals, those goals that count in the end, those goals in the important games, in, let's say, a derby against Toronto FC, or let's say, a game, a decision game at the end of the season, that's when Kwadwo Opoku is going to be interesting. So I like that because we need that kind of player that steps up in the big moments. And I think that he's that guy. What he needs to work on is his consistency.
Yeah.
In those not very important games, can he be that player that makes a difference? And that's where we're going to see if Hernan Lozada can make him that game changer in those normal games in a certain way.
Well, good news is that all of a sudden, having dropped 2 matches in a row, Montreal has a lot more important matches in front of them.
Exactly. Now,
yeah,
he did arrive to in Montreal the same day of the game, so on Saturday. So hopefully we'll see him in Chicago. Maybe he'll play a few minutes, or maybe he'll be a starter. We saw Hernan Lozada not really hesitating into putting Duke and Lassiter maybe 48 hours after they arrived. So
that is true. No, good point. Yeah, no, interesting for sure to see how this plays out. And once again, we'll see if the good track record that Kremanzitis and Renard have established in MLS translates once again.
Yeah, exactly. And he has a very good potential to be sold also in Europe, because he's someone that was, tracked by European clubs. So that's also very interesting, knowing, the way CF Montreal works. And it's a sort of promise that they give to those players, saying, you know what, come to our club. If there's an opportunity in Europe, we'll make it happen for you.
Yep, exactly.
And that's a very good selling point for most of the players, the young players, in a way. Now, I think that the price is a bit high, but $1,650,000 in allocation money. It's a bit high, but I think the reason why it's high is because you don't have a percentage fee in case he's sold. So
yeah,
that's my view on this, but I'm not really sure if it's or not.
Fair enough.
So yeah. So anything else to add? I don't know if one of our viewers has a question about Opoku that we can answer. Feel free to interact with us. I know, Roberto, you said people say he has good potential. Yeah, we as we explained, I think he's interesting. He's a very interesting young lad. So hopefully we'll see more of him.
Actually, we did get 2 questions this week. Just let me double check.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yep. Oh, and we have a question from Simple Guy. I don't have the graphic for it, so I'm sorry. I'm just going to read it off.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Simple Guy says, will CF Montreal make any other moves in this Mercato window? In my opinion, this team has a lot of bench players that are being used as starters. Please don't blame the injuries, because the talent needs to be improved.
Yeah, I said it earlier, right? So, we don't have good enough starters, in my opinion. I think that we had some interesting players that could have been very important players for the club, but they didn't really seize their chance. I'm 90% sure that CF Montreal will still move during this transfer window.
I mean, I think if they want to be serious about making the playoffs, they have to move, and they have to move for a decisive player in this transfer window, in my opinion. And if they don't make such a move, then if they try and things fall through, that's one thing, right? But if they don't make any moves, then to me that kind of signals a lack of ambition on the sporting side of things.
I see things a bit differently, in a way where it's not about making the playoffs this year. As I said, it's about the new cycle.
But the problem is they go out into public and then they say, our goal this year is to make the playoffs. But no, when you're setting the expectations for the public like that, then fans are going to expect you to try to make the playoffs.
Yeah, but they're still in the hunt for the playoffs. They're in ninth position. They are able, if they win a couple of games, everybody's going to think that they're going to reach, they're going to be first in the East, because this is how Montreal is. But let's look at this as a cycle. Right now, Olivier Renard likes to prepare his cycle. So adding players now for the next 2-3 years is very important for next year ambition and for the remaining of the cycle, the 3-year cycle. It's always a 3-year cycle. So this is the year 1 of the 3-year cycle. So adding players now is going to make CF Montreal so much better in year 2 of that cycle. So, and also we all know that there's a lot of players, and that we named a bit earlier, that aren't really doing the trick for CF Montreal.
True story.
So at one point, this is the time right now to move in order to build up on that cycle. So I'll be very surprised if CF Montreal doesn't move by the end of the transfer window. I think the transfer window ends on the 5th of August or something like that. I don't remember the date.
That sounds in the vicinity of right. Unfortunately, I don't.
I know it's in August, but I'll check it out. But do you think they're going to move?
I would sincerely hope so.
But do you think they're going to move?
No. Okay. I think they're going to try. I think they're going to try something and it's going to fail. That's my guess. Is it's going to fall through on something dumb.
And that's why you're called Pessimistic Eve, right?
That's why I got my name.
Yeah, I know. So August 2nd is the date. So
okay.
Again, I'll be very surprised if they don't move. We have a couple. We have a couple more questions, or?
So we do have another question, but it's for the women's national team. So let's save it.
We'll answer it.
We do have a comment from Holy Gale regarding the Chicago match. Do not let Kai Kamara score on us. To which Robbie says, "Holy Gale, it is almost a guarantee." Robbie be drinking the pessimistic Kool-Aid, I think.
Oh yeah, Robbie has been very pessimistic about everything.
I'm so sorry
regarding soccer in the last 2 weeks. I don't know what you did, Eve, but you got to Robbie. So.
It starts with one.
So moving on, let's talk about the Canadian men's national team.
Yes.
That was playing the quarterfinals of the 2023 Gold Cup at the Tickle, like our friends like to call, from Cincinnati, the TQL Stadium in Cincinnati. So let's look at the starting 11. So here's the starting 11 with Dane St. Clair in goal. We have Kamal Miller playing as the left center back, Steven Vittoria in the middle, and McGraw playing as a right center back, Richie Larea playing as a right wing back, Liam Millar playing as a left wing back. In the middle of the pitch, we had Bombito playing next to Adi Ahmed and Jonathan Osorio, and up front we had Lucas Cavallini and our very, very good captain of the night, Junior Hoylett. So when you looked at that starting 11, what was your impression?
I mean, by this point, we had seen enough. Bombito and Ali Ahmed, they really excite me for the future of the squad. I think the veterans definitely have not necessarily answered the call in most of these matches. So I was excited to see them get up and running. Overall, I think it was probably the strongest 11 that John Herdman had at his disposal. So I wasn't terribly surprised, I think, by anything I saw.
Yeah, me neither. I think it was the best squad available to John Herdman during this Gold Cup. I think that was the best starting 11 that he could have chosen.
Yeah.
We'll talk about, who impressed us during the tournament, who made a case for himself and everything, that at the end of the segment. Let's talk about the game first. So, first of all, let's talk about Dane St. Clair. How important was he during that game? Making stops on Gianluca Busio on the 74th minute, making another stop on a header on the 104th minute, being dominant in the area.
Yeah, I thought he was.
A stellar performance for Dane St. Clair.
Yeah, for me, it's one where he says, I don't want to be second goalkeeper. I want to be first. And let's face it, Max Kripo has a long way back from injury. Obviously, Milan Borjan, he had to unfortunately leave the tournament through injury. But he's also, let's face it, in the twilight of his career. And to me, there is kind of a power vacuum, if you will, in that position. And power to Dane St. Clair, because, I mean, it was a challenging night. Poor Steven Vittoria had some struggles. Containing those attacking players for the U.S. And he was massive. I thought he was an excellent communicator with his defenders as well in a very rowdy stadium. So, no, I thoroughly enjoyed his performance.
Yeah, I enjoyed his performance. Robbie's saying that he
is a good point.
Good in ball distribution.
Yeah.
That's where he needs to learn.
Yeah.
That's his his where he
his
lacks
weakness,
of,
kind of.
yeah, his
Yeah.
weakness, where he lacks of in ability. But hopefully he will learn from it. And you know what? At one point, you don't need to be, not all goalkeepers are going to have good distribution. And at the end of the day, what we require of a goalkeeper is to stop goals from going in. Already, that's maybe 90% of
Right. Yeah, I think in the context of last, like maybe in other matches, it wouldn't have been as apparent, but in last
exactly.
night's match, because the US was so tight on Canada, he was forced to go longer a lot more often, I
Yeah.
think. And so it kind of like made that weakness perhaps more apparent than it would have in a different match, like if he had
Yeah.
played in one of the group stage matches. But nonetheless, I mean, it's important to know that, because let's face it, it's the big stage, and that's where you got to know what the players can and can't bring.
Exactly. And you know what? I like the comment of Chan saying heartbroken.
Oh,
I think
Chan.
we all are, because let's talk about, we talked about the defense of CF Montreal, and we can say the same thing about the defense of the Canadian national team, or, of the starters of the Canadian national team. They had a very good showing, I think, yesterday. The team that John Herdman put, the plan of John Herdman was to really, sit back, defend, and go on the break and try to get to be incisive in front of goal. It almost worked. I think it was the right game plan for that game. The defense was pretty good during that game. I like what I've seen from Zach McGraw. We'll talk about it. I like it yesterday. Also, his physical abilities, his aerial abilities are really, really, really impressive. So, what did you think about the defense during that game?
I think that there were times that, a lack of mobility, particularly for Kamal Miller and Stephen Victoria, was exploited, and rightfully so, by the very, very, very energetic, very pacey, very, very nimble-footed U.S. attack. Particularly, Gianluca Busio was one for sure. Who else stuck out? Just let me double check their lineup, because his name is escaping me.
Georgi Mihailovic was not very good during that game, but he's always an interesting player to watch.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, he had probably his quietest match, I would say, of the tournament. Unfortunately for him, but that's fine.
Julian Gressel had quite a few crossing chances that he missed.
They had so many corners as well, right? Which is always gonna do it.
And the one that was good from the US side is the Juan Jones.
Yes.
That gave that.
Oh, he's an excellent crosser, yeah.
That amazing cross for the goal of Brandon Vasquez. Let's talk about not only the goal, but Brandon Vasquez. When he came in,
they were so excited. Yeah.
He was a threat right away. He had maybe a couple of chances before that goal. What changed? Why did Canada defense had so much trouble against a guy like Brandon Vasquez, in your opinion?
Oh, that's a really tricky question. It's kind of, I think being at a home field, I'm sure that suited him all the more, because of course he plays at the Tickle match in and match out, or at least 17 matches of the MLS season. Undoubtedly that helped. Obviously the crowd was so pumped to see him come in, so he had that strong backing. But I mean, he's been an excellent player in MLS. He's kind of like the complete package. Like, he's got the ability to hold up physically. He's obviously got aerial ability. He has a great touch. He just seems a lot more complete than a lot of, MLS strikers who aren't, players that come up out of nowhere, like a wonderkind. He just seems like somebody whose development has just been on like an exponential curve.
Yeah, and he's the type of strikers that you don't really find anymore in the modern game. Right now, the strikers that you find are, very, very pacey strikers that like to be very technical, that, dribble a couple of players and, curl a shot into the side netting or something like that. But
exactly,
Brandon Vasquez is that physical presence up front where He controls the ball. He goes directly to the goal. He's very direct. He can withstand that physical challenge that those defenders were bringing, those Canadian defenders were bringing, and that's why they were, they weren't very good at containing him, in my opinion. It's the profile of that striker is a bit challenging for the players that we have in the back line. I think we needed a bit more different kind of players at the back in order to really contain a player like Brandon Vasquez. So hopefully, John Herdman saw that for the future games, because now it's been 2 defeats against the U.S. in 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the referee. A penalty not called at one point because of a push of Moise Bombito, and then another penalty that was called, and for the goal, the equalizing goal of Steven Victoria. What did you think about the referee performance during that game? Can we point our fingers towards him? A lot of people have been saying that the referee was bad against CF Montreal. I didn't think he had a lot of influence on the game against CF Montreal, but the referee on that game, for me, it was tough. It was a bit tough. I think that was a penalty. Bombito push is not a push. Like, this is a normal.
Well, to me, it's just something like it wasn't as though he pushed the guy who made the handball, right? It was like a separate entity on the play. But no, I also agree with you. Like, it was quite a weak call. Like, there's so much jostling, that goes on in the box during a corner, that it feels easy.
Yeah, it felt very easy. Zachary Lee, he said that he missed a red card on Canada too.
Oops. I think you and I clicked on it at the same time. Which one?
What did you think of that?
Which one? Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know which one he's talking about.
I'm trying to think. There was a yellow card for Kamal Miller when he came in with 2 feet.
Maybe that's the one. That's
the one that comes to mind. Well, I mean, there were so many yellow cards in that match. That one comes to my mind for sure. I was like, oh yeah, she's a yellow card for sure. I was like, it's a very CONCACAF yellow card. Otherwise, I mean, there was a lot of pushing and shoving, I know, in the tunnel at halftime. I don't know if you saw the little videos of that. There was probably some untoward actions. Oh, Lucas Cavallini, what did he do now? That's what Robbie says. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
Honestly, he was, I don't know. His performance wasn't really very, very good. Now, we can't blame him either on that game. I think that, Canada played a very good game, for the first 90 minutes. Let's talk about the overtime, because, Steven Victoria scoring a goal. I think you knew that, I'm pretty sure you knew that Canada was going to lose when Brandon Vasquez scored a goal.
Oh my God, my little heart. I was I was really tired as well, so I was in my bed, in the fetal position. I was like, oh God, at least I can go to sleep. Yeah, I mean, let's face it, that late in the match, it's what you always think, right? 88th minute or whatever. I'm gonna have to find out after what Lucas Cavallini did. That should have been a red card. I agree with Robbie's take, because Robbie and I typically agree. But I'll check it out after, because I can just see the comments there. Anyway, I digress. Yeah, no, completely. I was like, oh, it's over. Okay, good night.
Yeah, no,
my misery is over, because I was expecting this, right?
Yeah, but you know what? I thought exactly the same as you. I was sure, Canada lost, but they managed to score a goal, and I think it wasn't a stolen goal. It was fair to see Canada get the draw, after 90 minutes. I don't think that the Americans were so much better than Canada. I think the game plan was played very well by John Herdman that made us thought that Canada deserved better. So when they scored, for me, it was like, nice. Okay, that's deserving. That's a good goal for Canada. So what did you think about that?
I mean, I do think, like, let's face it, I think the US was better overall in the 90 minutes. Like, no, they did not, like, dominate and, absolutely, set up siege in the Canadian half or anything like that. But yeah, let's face it, they were slightly better. Like, call a spade here, right? But I mean, given that the penalty hadn't been called in the first half, and I was like, oh, finally. And I was like, just finally. And actually, funnily enough, I had gone to the bathroom in between because I was like, oh, it's just about over. I'm going to go brush my teeth. Like, and then all of a sudden I could hear Gareth Wheeler like yelling about something. And I was like, oh God, what's he going on about? So then I stumbled back to my bedroom with my toothbrush in my mouth. And I was like, what the hell is Stephen Vittoria doing up there taking a penalty? I only saw like the super slow-mo version of the handball that led to the penalty on this one. But I take it. Not going to complain for sure.
Let's talk about that extra time because I think there's a lot to talk about on that extra time. First of all, let's talk about the starting 11 for that extra time. And I want your thoughts on this. I want you to maybe tell me about, how good were the changes of John Herdman and were they on point? So, that's starting 11 for the overtime. So you had Dean Sinclair in goal. Of course, he was still there. You had Scott Kennedy that came in for Zach McGraw at the 90th minute. Stephen Vittoria that was still here. Kamal Miller that was still here, of course. We had in the midfield Fraser that came in at the 60th minute for Bombito. Witherspoon that came in at the 73rd minute for Ali Ahmad. Osorio that was still here. Schaffelberg that came in for Liam Millar, or as the left wing back. I think Schaffelberg came in for Ahmad, but that's not important. Larea that was still here as a right wing back, and up front you had Charles-Andreas Brem that came in at the 86th minute, and Jason Russell-Rowe that came in for the 72nd minute. When you look at that starting 11, do you think it's a starting 11 that could have beaten the U.S.? I look at this and I'm like,
no. No. I don't know if you're asking me seriously, because if you're asking me seriously, no. Just no. Period. No. No. I mean, if you look at on paper where the players in the respective teams, at the start of that extra time were playing, we have Scott Kennedy, who's in the German second division. We have Jacob Schaffelberg. Or sorry, my apologies. Jacob Schaffelberg is with Nashville. My bad. They're good.
Liam Fraser, that
Liam, exactly. Yeah, that's who I was thinking of. We have David Witherspoon as well. If I'm not mistaken, is he on Attached FC right now? Or
he's on Attached FC, and you have Brim that plays in the second division.
Exactly. So on paper, the players in the US, are all playing at a higher level than all of those guys we just listed. So completely, your question was almost a little bit redundant.
Sorry about that. But, the player that really was able to show himself during that extra time period is Jacob Schaffelberg.
Absolutely.
So at the 94th minute, on a run from the left, he dribbled past his defender, crossed the ball for running Jason Russell-Rowe. Unfortunately, the young striker from the Columbus Crew put it over the crossbar. How important was that chance for Canada? I think this was a golden chance.
It was.
For Canada.
It was for sure. Obviously, with the benefit of hindsight, we know how things played out after. It was a phenomenal chance. Obviously, especially for a guy like Jason Russell-Rowe, although he definitely played a lot of big matches with the MLS Next Pro team and played in playoffs for them and stuff. This is probably one of the biggest matches that he's played in his life. Just looking at his career.
He's very young.
He's very young, exactly. So, there's definitely bound to be some nerves associated with that. But yeah, no, it was a huge chance.
Yeah, really, really huge chance. And then, we talked about Jacob Schaffelberg, the fact that when he came in, he made a difference. He showed the world that he is ready to make a difference for Canada. And I think that he was the best player on the pitch. And I wonder what would have happened if he was here for the whole game or for most of the game. Let's look at what happened at the 104th minute, if I remember correctly. I'm not sure which minute it was. The goal, nine.
Oh, it was 109.
Yeah, whatever. Let's look at that.
Only as far as Fraser. Schaffelberg. Reynolds wins out that battle this time. Good hustle, good work back by Schaffelberg, and he's off. Jacob Schaffelberg. He can challenge Miazga. Go at him! Schaffelberg! Jacob Schaffelberg! Goal for Canada! It's Schaff!
What a great goal from Jacob Schaffelberg. He had the ball in the midfield. He loses it, comes back, defense, tackles the American player, then takes the ball back, gives a pass to Jason Russell-Rowe that gives a touch back to Schaffelberg, dribbles past his player, gets that, of course, lucky deflection from Miazga, and it's a goal.
Mm-hmm.
What an amazing play.
It was an excellent goal.
It was really an excellent goal, and it's a pity that it didn't give us the victory. I think that was one of the best goals that I've seen from Canada
in a while.
Yeah. In a while.
Yeah, so, completely agree.
So perfect. So at that time, what was pessimistic Eve thinking?
I was just confused.
For Canada, 108th minute.
Yeah.
What happened in the mind of the great Eve?
Well, you know me. I was just like, what the hell? I was like, oh, I don't know what I was thinking. Like I said, I was really tired. I don't know. I didn't have it in me to be optimistic, if that's what you were asking. I still said, oh my God, there's, 11 minutes left and whatever is going to be added for injury time. I said, oh God, there's still time left to screw this up.
Yeah.
And I was right.
And you were right. But you know what? As Zachary says, it was a tough loss, though, guys. Commiserations.
But
Scott Kennedy
harsh.
And Miles Robinson again. B-Tech, Harry Maguire.
Oh, that's harsh.
That's harsh. That's harsh. But, I like harsh takes sometimes. So that's why I like
you. When it comes from me.
But no. Then came that play, of course, Buzio getting the ball, shooting the ball. Great stop for Dean Sinclair, again, on its line. Unfortunately, it bounces back the back of Scott Kennedy, and it's an own goal.
Yeah.
Poor Scott Kennedy. A lot of people, are still blaming him for the final in the Nations League on this goal. Let's not to be too harsh on him. It's going to happen. It can happen for any player. Let's not point fingers at Scott Kennedy on that goal.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
No, I agree. It was unlucky. Like it's just the spot where Dean Sinclair rebounded the ball out to was, he didn't know it was coming.
Yeah.
So it's just really tremendously unlucky.
About the game before we wrap up the Gold Cup, penalty takers.
What the hell? Again, this is okay. Apparently, this is my theme of this match. Is just me going. I'm sorry, but what on God's green earth were they doing? Sending guys out there who were so inexperienced. Like it reminded me of England at the Euros that year. The 2021. I think it was when it should have been 2020. I think. Like.
Yeah.
I don't know. How do you?
Yeah. So, Steven Victoria missed. Liam Fraser missed. Kamal Miller scored. Russell Rowe scored. Bryn missed. And for me, the choice. Let's talk about how the penalty takers are chosen, depending on the teams and the managers. it's either the manager that chooses or he lets the players decide who wants to go. And knowing John Herdman, I'm pretty sure that he let the players decide. The problem is, I wanted to see those veterans take the lead.
Absolutely.
And go and say, you know what? I'm going to shoot the penalties.
Absolutely.
Where was Jonathan Osorio? Where was Richie Larea? Those are veterans. They should have taken a shot.
We know what club they play for, and the club doesn't have a great record in shootouts. So
yeah, but
maybe they got like the heebie-jeebies from it.
but it's just crazy. Again.
Yeah, I was really disappointed by that.
At one point, I think that the manager has to step up and say, you know what, here is 7-8 players, choose who wants to go first, but do not take all the players and let them decide, because I'm sorry, Liam Fraser had no right to be here.
I know, but I mean, at the same time, I do appreciate him taking the ownership on, because evidently there are other players who didn't step up. So, we have to give credit there for being willing to step up and say, I'm going to take this penalty. So, I mean, credit there, but yeah, overall, you're right. No business.
Yeah. And we have a question for you, Yves Pierre Paquette, saying, is it me or Herdman said that he wanted to win trophies, but he's not good enough to win trophies?
I mean, this version of the squad, I'd struggle to see him winning a trophy for sure. This iteration, I mean, and a lot of, like, if we look back to the earlier matches of the Gold Cup, a lot of the players, I'm sorry, but the veterans just did not show up, right?
Yeah, I agree.
For me, I think they did certainly put in a lot more of a shift last night. However, if your veterans are not showing up, you have to get out of the group stage. Let's face it, if things had gone better in one of their group stage matches, they could have finished top and instead played Jamaica. And maybe it would have been a different story. Maybe they'd be en route to the semis.
I think Jamaica is
Jamaica's a lot. No. Jamaica's a lot better. But what I'm saying is, like, who would you rather play? Jamaica or the U.S.?
For me, it's the same. It's just that I think that, one sec. I think that the versions that were at the 2023 Gold Cup are similar. Like, if you look at the U.S. squad and the Jamaica, because the Jamaica squad has their A team. That's their best players playing. And the U.S. had their, we're talking about Canada choosing their B team. Mm-hmm. I think the U.S. had their C team in a certain way. So, that's why for me, the problem was not playing against the U.S. or playing against Jamaica.
Okay.
The problem was, how did you not top the group in the Gold Cup in the first round? That's the problem. And that's why Canada weren't in the right mindset to go into those quarterfinals, because there was a lot of doubts, and they should have won 3 games very easily, and they didn't. And that's the big problem.
Yeah, fair enough.
So,
no, fair enough. And the Jamaican squad has definitely come like light years recently. I think they've worked a lot harder to bring other players maybe into the fold, for sure. And kind of like Zachary says, like, they have 6 Premier League players, for example.
Yeah.
So no, you do raise a good point there. But I mean, Canada with a full strength squad, I think, is an excellent team in CONCACAF. However, I think we saw Canada's depth get tested in this tournament, and there's still a lot of growing room to say that Canada is a complete squad to dominate CONCACAF, which, let's face it, that's what we were saying at the end of World Cup qualifying when they finished first in the group and stuff. So I think this is a humbling experience.
Oh yeah, exactly. But there's been too many of those lately. So hopefully we'll learn from that in the future. Let's talk about the takeaways of the Gold Cup before moving on to our last point.
I'm so excited for our last point. So come on.
that was the last one. I told you we're going to wrap things up at the end. So give me 3 positives of the Gold Cup and 3 negatives of the Gold Cup for Canada.
So 3 positives. I would say the kids are all right. Ali Ahmed, Jason Russell-Rowe, aside from his own goal, which is unlucky. Moise Bombito, Jacob Schaffelberg, all impressed me. I think they've all given John Herdman a lot to think about next time Canada has a window, for sure, and I hope so. Another positive, I would say, is Dane St. Clair is going to try, like, I know we have a small sample size to work with, but Dane St. Clair is going to push, if Milan Borjan is still number 1 de facto, then he's going to be pushing Max Crepeau darn hard for that second position, which just, of course, means that both of them are going to be trying their hardest. We love to see that. The third positive, oh boy, okay, we're going to scratch our heads a little here. The third positive is that they managed to hold the U.S. to 120 minutes. We all thought that they were going to get blown out of the water like 4-5-0. Maybe not 4-5-0, but like at least 2-3-0.
If I can add to your takes, because I agree with everything you said, I think it was very positive also for Liam Millar. I love that player. I think that player can be that player that comes off the bench and brings something to the table, and that's going to be very interesting in the next couple of years before the World Cup. We have to have the best version of Liam Miller, and I think he showed his best version during that Gold Cup, and I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So your three
negatives
takes. Yeah.
Veterans. Question mark.
Who? Point fingers. Name names.
So, well, I mean, it kind of varied a little bit from match to match. I thought there
were in general.
Jonathan Osorio did not overwhelm me this tournament at all. I think, although Steven Vittoria, he obviously scored the crucial penalty, there were definitely some of those matches in the group stage where I think his age was starting to show. Not necessarily criticizing lack of effort, but just, let's face it, I mean, he is no spring chicken. And obviously Milan Borjan as well. I think his gaps maybe were also starting to show. I got a question, did they take this as seriously as they could have in the group stage? Did they show the proper respect to their opponents in the group stage? Doesn't feel like they did, looking back on things with the power of hindsight, right? And if that's the case, then I will be the first to criticize them. The third negative that I would take away is it just felt like a less disciplined tournament overall. Defensively, it felt a little bit less disciplined. Obviously, offensively, things weren't clicking, and it kind of felt like maybe a little bit of a lack of urgency, and maybe it's some hangover from the Nations League and losing that final and kind of, again, getting humbled by that as well. So yeah, those would be my 3, I think.
I would add one last thing to what you said. John Herdman. Very questionable choices during that tournament. Very questionable choices before the tournament. Very questionable communication with the media. Saying that they did, at one point saying that they made sure they finished second to play the U.S. Bad communication, bad everything, bad tactics, bad choice of players, bad substitutions. I don't know. I'm a big defender of John Herdman. I think that he brought Canada to where it is right now. Mm-hmm. I think he was the man of the situation to grow, to push the growth of Canadian soccer. But now, in order to move to the next level, I'm not really sure he's the man we need to have. We need a bit more. We need a bit more. I think it's just not normal to be completely lost before a tournament that should have been maybe the first trophy of Canada in 23
years. Yeah.
So
well,
yeah, not really sure. I'm not backing John Herdman anymore.
Oh boy. Monumental occasion.
Yeah, thanks, Holy Gale, agreeing with me. I'm in Hady. Thank you.
Chan does raise a good point, whether we want him or not.
Oh man,
CSA has no money to fire Herdman and hire a new coach.
I think that's a bit of communication for the no
Question
money
for
thing
Jason
is,
DeVos.
It's just a communication for sponsors to step up in a certain way or to put pressure on CSB.
Oh my god, can I do that?
On CSB.
Can I start talking, like, if I start talking about how broke I am? People
how important are you, Eve? How important are you? You can try. If someone steps up, that's pretty good.
Okay, fair. I'll let you know how it goes.
Perfect. So moving on, and I think it's time that we present the 23 players that are going to the World Cup in Australia and New Zealand. Beth Priestman made her announcements a few days ago.
Yesterday.
23 players were chosen. So we have a little presentation because we always talk about the women's national team here, but we always talk about the team thinking that everybody knows them. So we decided to do things differently and to present every player of those 23 players that were selected, give our takes, and talk about that World Cup that could be a very good occasion to get a trophy on a world stage, get a second trophy after the Olympics, get the biggest trophy in women's soccer, the World Cup. So let's start right away with, let's go in alphabetical order. I think that's the best thing. Or
that's
do you
how
want
you
to
got
go
them listed
position?
Here for me. You got them listed in alphabetical order, so it's easiest for me if we do alphabetical order. Ready?
Perfect. So yeah, go ahead. So we'll start with the first one. It's a midfielder, Simi Awujo. She's 19 years old. She has 6 caps. She plays still in the NCAA with USC Trojans. I gave a storyline at the end to know to present them a bit. Is she the new destroyer? Even if she's not the a pure number 6, she's very physical. So what do you think about her?
I think she's a really complete player for this age, at only 19. She excites me so much. I know that you mentioned her as the new destroyer, but to me, she has a lot of facets to her game. I think she has a phenomenal vision.
Yeah.
And it really, I really enjoyed watching her, particularly, versus Australia. When she subbed in, I loved her performance. I thought she was really exciting, really, really dynamic, and I thought she was not out of place at all for such a young player. So I love seeing her there.
For people that follow the men's game, can we say that Simi Awujo is kind of the Ishmael Kone of that?
Oh, that's not a bad analogy. Yeah.
I think that's the best analogy that we can say about Simi Awujo, but she's going to be very, very exciting. I like what Zachary said. I have Canada as 5th favorite, tied with Germany. Betting odds are harsh on them, though. Have Australia in front. Haven't studied the past, but seems wrong. Yes, we have a very strong group. We know about that.
Yeah, Australia have the home field advantage as well.
Exactly, but we have a very good squad. So if you're here for a while, you'll see how good of a squad we have. Go ahead with the second player.
Yes.
So it's Kadisha Buchanan. I'm going to present her because just in case you've been living under a rock for the past 20 years, or maybe 15 years, let's talk about Kadisha Buchanan. 27-year-old only, 131 caps already. She just moved to Chelsea in England. She won. So with Lyon, she won the Division 1 titles in 2016, 2017, 2017, 2018, 2018, 2019, 2019, 2020, and 2021, 2022. The French Cup also on 3 occasions. The Champions League, the UEFA Champions League on 5 occasions, 2 with Chelsea last year. She won the Super League, and she also won the FA Cup. With Canada, of course, she won the Summer Olympics of 2020 or 2021, whatever you want to call them, and the bronze medal in 2016. Because yes, in 2016, she was part of that team that won the bronze medal.
Yeah.
The rock in defense for Kanisha Buchanan, right?
Absolutely, 100%. She is. I mean, I know Christine Sinclair is there, but for me, she's one of the first names on the team sheet. She is such a phenomenal defender. She has it all. She has the ability, I think, the composure to take the ball out of defense, carry it forward a little bit if need be. She has a great aerial ability. I think her anticipation is second to none. Obviously, interceptions and tackles, I think they speak for themselves. No, she's a phenomenal defender. And she is in such a prominent and prestigious club. I mean, she left a prominent and prestigious club to make the move as well. Excellent defender. I have nothing but flowers to throw at her feet.
Yeah, and one of the best defenders in the world right now.
Yep.
Very, very close to the top, if not, the best. Pretty close to being the best central defender in the world. Moving on with the next player, it's Gabrielle Carl that was finally selected. 24 years old, the Quebecer, 36 caps already. She moved to the NWSL with Washington Spirit. With the Florida State Seminoles, she won the NCAA Division I Women's Soccer Championship in 2018 and 2021. And of course, she won the Olympics. The storyline, the Canadian knife, because I didn't want to say the Swiss knife because she's not Swiss. Canadian knife. She can play so many positions.
Versatile. Yeah,
exactly.
No, exactly. And I was actually really surprised not to see her on the initial squad, if nothing by virtue of her versatility, because, of course, in the tournament setting, I think we've said it 15 or 20 times on this show, that it's so important to have players who can fill in at multiple places should you pick up some injuries. Obviously, she has been very patient. She came over from Sweden to play in the NWSL this season. And she's been an important player for Washington Spirit, so I'm really pleased to see her getting her due. Well deserved. And I think we often forget as well just how young she is.
24 only.
Exactly, because she was capped very, very young.
Yeah.
So I think we kind of forget that as well, that like her best years are, if not right now, they're still in front of her.
For sure. 100%.
So she has all kinds of room to grow.
And I think it's a good move that she did coming back to the NWSL. I think it's a better league than the Swedish league, in my opinion. So good move on her. And, she needs to also find her position. It's good to be versatile, but it's good to be able to play every week at the same position. Yeah. Even if you're able to fill in other roles, it's important to have your own position. And I think left wing back or left back is her position right now. Even if she can play in the midfield, she can play as a right back also, or a right wing back. So we'll see. I think we're going to see her often during that World Cup. So let's wait and see.
Next
up is Alicia Chapman, left back or left wing back, 34 years old, 96 caps. She plays with the Houston Dash in the NWSL. She won the Challenge Cup with the Houston Dash in 2020, the Summer Olympics in 2021, and the bronze medal in 2016. The doggedness. That's the storyline for Alicia Chapman. Never give up attitude. Not very good technically, but very, very aggressive. And this is something that you need in a tournament.
I would almost say like the pit bull,
Yeah.
No, she's very tenacious. And, I think we were questioning a little bit, like, does she still have her place in the squad? Maybe a few seasons ago, actually, we were questioning it. And you know what? I don't think she's out of place yet. I think she's come kind of back into better form, maybe. So really pleased.
Same. So moving on to the next player, Sabrina D'Angelo. So we all know she's the backup goalkeeper. She's 30-year-old, 13 caps. She just moved to Arsenal in England from Sweden. She won the bronze medal at the Summer Olympics with Canada. She also won, and we tend to forget, she won 2 NWSL titles in 2016 with the Western New York Flash. It doesn't exist anymore. And in 2018 with the North Carolina Courage. I think that's the experience as a goalkeeper. Very, very interesting, Sabrina D'Angelo as a backup goalkeeper, I think, in the squad.
Totally. And obviously her move to Arsenal, even if she does also play, as a backup keeper with Arsenal, that's still phenomenal experience. She has gotten several matches in with them in the WSL. So to me, that says quite a lot. The fact that, she is able to find her place in that squad, and obviously is going to be training with a world-class team in world-class facilities in her club. And for me, that's just all the more valuable experience for her.
Yeah, I completely agree. Moving on to the next player. So we have Jessie Fleming. So that's someone else that we always think that is very, very old because she's been with the team forever. Only 25-year-old, 115 caps already. She also plays in Chelsea in England. She was instrumental winning the WSL title in 2020, 2021, 2022, but also in 2022, 2023. The FA Cup also 3 times. With Canada, she won the Summer Olympics and the bronze medal also in 2016. The storyline, the vision. She's the one that makes everything happen. The creativity in the midfield goes through Jessie Fleming.
Absolutely. Like, for me, as Jessie Fleming goes, so the Canadian national team goes. Like, if she's having a good day out on the pitch, things are gonna go all right. If she's being shackled or triple teamed by a bunch of defenders, it's going to be a lot more of a struggle. Her creativity is second to none. She has scored some phenomenal goals as well for Canada. She's also stepped up a lot as a penalty kick taker, as Christine Sinclair kind of steps back more from that role like we saw at the Olympics. And that shows to me a lot of leadership, a lot of poise, and a lot of composure at such a young age.
Yeah, exactly. I can't wait to see what she's going to do. I think it's time for Jessie Fleming to really take, the lead with Canada. She did take the lead in the Olympics, scoring, a few penalties. But I think she can be a better, participating in creating chances on the pitch, in play. And hopefully we'll see that in the World Cup. Moving on with the next
one.
Vanessa Gilles, 27-year-old, 24 caps only. I feel that she's been a part of the squad for decades now.
Right.
She plays with the Olympique Lyonnais right now in France. She won the Cypriot Women's Cup with Apollon Limassol in 2017-2018. With Lyon, she won the Division 1 title this year and the French Cup also. And with Canada, the Summer Olympics, of course, in 2021. Storyline, the aerial threat. She's so dangerous on set pieces, offensive set pieces, and she's so dominant in defensive set pieces. Her heading ability cannot be matched.
Yeah. Completely agree. And it's so weird because she's not the tallest defender out there as well. I mean, the jump she has on her is just off the charts. Not only that, she's a really tenacious defender as well. And I feel like she and Kanisha Buchanan have such complementary styles that there are a perfect pairing in the back four that Bev Priestman usually rolls with. She's just for me, she's so important for Canada because she can contribute at both ends of the pitch. I really, it's been really interesting to see her because, of course, she did sign with Angel City and then kind of quickly, I would say, got loaned out to Olympique Lyonnais, which, of course, that loan has now been extended for another while. And, I mean, Lyon is one of the most prestigious women's clubs in the world overall. They've won so much silverware. I mean, you saw how many just Keisha Buchanan on her own had won with them.
Well, right now, we can say it's the most prestigious. It's the number one club right now, even if
up there.
It's really the number one club historically. Yeah. Now, of course, they don't have the same means right now than some clubs in the WSL. So they're being
challenged
challenged in a certain way by Barcelona and all those English clubs right now. But historically, it's the best club in women's soccer.
Yeah, agree. So she's getting phenomenal experience in. Obviously, she's going to be participating in Champions League, which is amazing. And again, she has that big game experience. She played a few finals with Lyon this year, for the Coupe de France, and I think that's just going to contribute and make her all the more well-rounded player.
Yeah, exactly. So moving on with the next player, and it's our friend Giulia Grosso. She's only 22 years old, 50 caps. She plays with Juventus in Italy. She won the Serie A in 2021, 2022, the Coppa Italia twice, and of course the Summer Olympics with Canada in 2021. I call her the trump card because whenever you see a game with Canada, you never expect that Giulia Grosso is going to be that player that's going to score, going to make a play, if you're the opposition, because you're always, very careful about, Christine Sinclair, Jessie Fleming, Karisha Buchanan, all those big names, Ashley Lawrence, all those big names. And you tend to forget Giulia Grosso. And that's where she excels, because when you forget her, she will hurt you.
I don't know how you could forget her, though, after this season with Juventus, because she was named as midfielder of the year in Serie A. Yeah. So, I mean, I suspect a lot more eyes are going to be on her now in this tournament than they were, say, in 2021 when they were at the Olympics. But I know what you mean, because, there's definitely so much star power on the squad that I would say she did in the past have the benefit maybe of blending in, but maybe I don't think that's the case anymore.
Not anymore. Hopefully, some opposing teams are going to forget about her so she can hurt them.
Awesome. All right, next up.
Next up is Jordyn Huitema, 22 years old, already 64 caps. She plays now with OL Reign in the NWSL, and I'm so happy that she left Paris Saint-Germain, winning one Division One title, only one Coupe de France, French Cup, also winning the Summer Olympics. Is she the next big thing? She's been touted to be the replacement of Christine Sinclair up front. It's been a while now, and she didn't live up to the expectations as of right now. But do you think she has it in her?
Again, she's another player. She's only 22 years old. She was first capped when she was in 2017. So she was first capped when she was so incredibly young. Then she's been around this club for a while. And I mean, again, if I said that Gabrielle Carl's best days might be ahead of her, that is all the more true for Jordyn Huitema.
But have you seen progression? Have you seen direct progression from her?
So in NWSL this year, absolutely. I've really enjoyed watching her in NWSL with OL Reign. A lot of the times she does come off the bench, but in all competitions this year for OL Reign, she's had 15 appearances and she scored 6 goals, which again, when you're coming off the bench, that is not bad.
Yeah.
So no, I think she, especially her positioning as a striker, is a lot better. She's definitely, I would say, kind of like almost a fox in the box, so kind of a little bit more of an old
That's
school.
What we want from her. We don't want her to play on the wing. We don't want her to drop deep in the midfield. Just play up front. Just play as a striker. Play as a poacher.
Yep, and that's the thing, is that's where she scored so many of her goals from. Is she waits and sure enough, a goalkeeper spills it, a defender makes a flub, or a great cross comes in because she's tall and she's got a great jump on her as well, so she can make the header. So I think she's coming into her best years. So I am seeing progression and I am excited.
Yeah. So next player is none other than Chloé Lacasse, 30 years old, only 19 caps with Canada. She plays also with Arsenal, moving from Benfica to Arsenal this summer. She won the Icelandic Women's Football Cup in 2017 with IBV, and then she moved to Benfica, where she won 3 times the Portuguese league, and she won also the cup for 3 times. Also, she also has very good dribbling abilities, so I called her the dribbler. So what do you think about Chloe Lacasse making the squad and making the cut?
Well, I mean, Chloe Lacasse, the way that she just took the Portuguese league by storm this year was pretty shocking. She was named Player of the Year. She also got the Golden Boot in that league. And so I'm really excited to see her move to a massive club like Arsenal. I don't think necessarily she's going to be an out-and-out starter there, but she's going to definitely, because Arsenal is struggling many competitions, she's going to definitely have time to make her impression, I think. I really like her. For me, she has a different profile than most of the other attackers, because like you mentioned, of that footwork that she has great ball control. And that's exactly what you need when somebody's supporting like a player, like a Hady, for example. If Hady can play forward, as we hope she does, then, give a Chloe Lacasse to carry the ball forward so that they can link up and deliver that service. So, a no-brainer for me to see her.
Same. Next up is a very important player in Ashley Lawrence. She's a defender, but she can also play in midfield, also a Canadian knife the same way. 28 years old, 117 caps. Chelsea, she plays with Chelsea also. She just moved from Paris Saint-Germain, thank God. She won with Paris Saint-Germain, of course, the Division 1 title, the French Cup a couple of times. With Canada, also Summer Olympics 2021, bronze medal in 2016. I call her the amazing because she does so much work on the pitch that goes unnoticed. This woman is really, really fundamental to Brett Priestman's team. I hope that she's going to be playing as a right wing back. I know that there's possibility that we see her as a left wing back. That's not where I prefer her, but she's always very, very good wherever she plays.
Yeah, agree. No, I mean, she's so gifted technically, and I feel almost like she has gone a little bit unsung, like, aside from people who are really into women's football. I think she has kind of gone a little bit more unnoticed compared to some of the other big names on this team. But you're completely right. She is she's fundamental to the success, defensively and offensively. She's such a great modern fullback, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. So moving on with the next player, it's Adriana Leon, the forward. So she's 30 years old, 96 caps. She plays with the Portland Thorns, on loan from Manchester United, from England. So she plays in the NWSL. She won with Notre Dame the NCAA Women's Soccer Championship in 2010, the Olympics in 2021. I call her the dynamite because she's that player that can be very explosive. And I feel that that's where I see Adriana Leon being at her best, coming off the bench. That's my opinion. She might get a starter too, but for me, coming off the bench, that's where you see the best of Adriana Leon with the Canadian national team.
I would say like Bev Priestman seems to have really had a preference for starting her, like regardless of how much minutes that she was getting, with her respective club. Because unfortunately, when she moved to Manchester United, she saw her playing time like really, really take a massive hit, and it must have been difficult. And obviously, she's moved to Portland right now. Not necessarily getting a ton of looks in there either. So it's going to be interesting to see how Bev Priestman uses her, knowing that there are, other players who aren't necessarily like mid-season form, because of course the European season has wound up by now, but who maybe have a little bit more confidence. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Bev Priestman uses her.
Yeah, we'll see about that. But I think that at one point Bev Priestman wants to win, so she's going to put the best players on the pitch. So hopefully, we'll see Adriana Leon on the bench and where she's best coming off the bench. I think she's the best player there. Moving on, Michelle Prince. That was a surprise. 28 years old, 90 caps, Houston Dash. She won the Challenge Cup with them. She also won the bronze medal in 2016, the Summer Olympics 2021. I call her Speedy Prince. She's very pacey as a player. That was a surprise because she was injured for so long, and she wasn't really expected to be fit for the World Cup. But you know what? She managed to be on that list. Yep. And you know what? She can bring something very interesting to the squad. So hopefully she'll be fit, 100% fit to bring something on the table for Canada.
Yeah, absolutely. Really excited to see that she's back in action. Because of course, when she tore her ACL, it was playing with Canada. It was in the friendly versus Brazil. So, it's kind of like coming a little bit full circle, if you will. Definitely a deserved appearance, in my opinion. She's always been a really impactful player for Canada, whether she's starting or coming off the bench. And I think that she has really good anticipation, I would say, for a winger. She has the ability, I think, kind of to see where the defender is going to go and take them on. Great. Always up for a challenge, and definitely a player I appreciate a lot.
Moving on, third goalkeeper in Lisiane Proulx. She's a Quebecer, 24 years old, 0 caps. She plays in Torrance in Portugal. The unknown, because we don't know a lot about her, but you know what? She's been doing well in Portugal, playing a few. I think she joined half season. So she played maybe 12 to 15 games only. Still in the first division in Portugal. One thing that, when I did my research, I know that Beth Priestman has been working with her since she was 13 years old. So if someone knows Lisiane Proulx, it is Beth Priestman. What do you think about that goalkeeper, that third goalkeeper, and how important her role will be?
I suspect, let's face it, we're not going to see a lot of her unless there's an injury crisis in the goalkeeper department. But all the same, that is, what better experience to be part of a squad at the World Cup? Like, there is no better experience, right? So to prepare her perhaps to take the mantle down the line, this is a phenomenal experience for her. And that's really what I expect for this.
Yeah, and you know what? In the next cycle, maybe she can jump to second position. I know that Sabrina Evangelo is 30 years old, so at one point she's gonna have to retire. Not right now, but like in maybe 3-4 years, 5-6 years. And Lisiane Proulx could be the next player to step up as a backup if Kaylin Sheridan stays as good as she is right now. We'll talk about her a bit later. Moving on, and that's a very interesting player, Quinn.
I love them though. But continue.
I love them too, exactly. So 27 years old, 89 caps. They play with OL Reign in the NWSL, Houston Dash, the Challenge Cup in 2020. They won also the Summer Olympics in 2021, the bronze medal in 2016. The glue, that's how I called them.
Perfect.
The glue, because they're the link between the defense, the midfield, and the offense. They're so good at reading up the play and being able to be that link between the whole team that the glue for me is the storyline for Quinn.
Absolutely. And I don't know if you saw, they gave a phenomenal assist on a goal. It was like a one-touch assist right before this camp in Australia started. Yeah. And I was like, what the hell, Quinn, you got that in your locker?
They're really, really good. Yeah. Like with the ball, technically, vision-wise, even physically, they're really, really good. I think they're one of the best midfielders right now.
For me,
in this squad, if not the best in this squad, in that role.
Yeah, I think they're also quite underrated overall. And let's face it, it's not the most glamorous position that they play, right? So perhaps that's why. But how many times have we've been talking about a match and I'm like, gotta bring in Quinn. We need Quinn. Because the difference in the midfield with and without Quinn is so staggering.
Yeah. hopefully we're not going to see them in central defense.
Agree.
It's a waste to put them there.
Completely agree with you.
Next up is another player that was injured for a while, and it's Jade Riviere. The right back is 22. The 22-year-old right back has 37 caps. She plays with Manchester United in England. She won the Challenge Cup with. No, she didn't play with Houston Dash. That's my mistake. She only played in NCAA before moving to Manchester United. So forget about that. My mistake. But she won the Summer Olympics in 2021 with Canada. The storyline, the future has always been here, and it's Jade Riviere.
You know how highly I rate Jade Riviere. Anyone who's listened to our podcast knows how highly I rate Jade Riviere. Yeah. And like I almost feel bad because she has Ashley Lawrence in front of her, and I'm like, oh no.
Yeah. But I think Lawrence is going to play on the left, so
I would be inclined to agree. Right. Yeah. No, for me, she's one of the most exciting talents. Obviously, back at the She Believes Cup, it was pretty clear, I think, that she was highly rated on the other side of the pond. And obviously, she signed her first pro contract now, despite missing so much of the NCAA season through injury, which I think just shows how much the scouts, the big teams, rate her potential. So really, really, really exciting player.
Yeah, and she's been getting minutes with Manchester United, which is really, really positive. A club that has the means of Manchester United could have bought, any player at that position, and they put their confidence in Jade Riviere, and she's really answering to that decision by playing quality minutes with the club. I think that she's going to be a more important part of the squad next year. I think this was only the year one, so hopefully we'll see more of Jade Riviere with Manchester United next year.
For sure. And she's only 22, but for me, I think of her like a veteran.
Yeah, same. Yeah. Same.
Right?
Next player is Deanne Rose. So 24 years old, 73 caps. She plays in Reading, but not for long because Reading is not going to have a women's team anymore.
Scandalous.
Scandalous, exactly. Summer Olympics in 2021 and the bronze in 2016. Not a lot of difference with Nichelle Prince, Speedy Rose. That's our two speedy, pacey strikers or forwards because they're not really strikers. Deanne Rose is so important and so good in those clutch moments too.
Absolutely. A lot of the time at the Olympics, I think that Priestman would bring her in off the bench, and the difference she made coming in off the bench, I mean, just the level of dynamism in the attack with her present was like night and day. I think about she won one of the most important penalties for Canada. Yeah. I want to say it was in the match versus the US, but please don't quote me on that exactly. But it was definitely one of those decisive moments. And she, she's excellent. Obviously, she has had a really difficult past year as well because she missed most of the season, unfortunately, due to a serious injury. She also tore her ACL, I think it was in the very first game of the WSL season, which, you cannot get worse than that, right? So really pleased to see her back. I think she has excellent. I think she's also holds up really well in a physical battle. Great technique on the ball. And you know what? It's Reading's loss. The fact that they decided to do without a women's team because she's going to sign somewhere else and she's going to be an incredibly impactful player for that team.
Yeah, exactly. And hopefully she'll stay in WSL. I think she belongs there. Okay. But you know what? If an NWSL club wants to sign her, why not?
Yeah.
Very interesting player. I think Deanne Rose, a very good depth player. I think for Canada.
Completely.
Moving on, the big veteran or one of the veterans on that team, Sophie Schmidt, 35-year-old, 221 caps. She plays with the Houston Dash. A lot of players from the Houston Dash. I think they're 3 or 4. She won the NWSL Challenge Cup in 2020. The CONCACAF Women's Championship in 2010, the Summer Olympics 2021 and the 2 bronze medals in 2012 and 2016. The storyline is the know-how. She knows how to do things. She's the one that's going to be able to show a trick or two to all those young midfielders that are a part of that team. And I think coming off the bench, she could be very interesting because she still has a lot to give.
Hady, I almost wish I had one of our old recordings so that we could play it when we were like, oh, I'm not sure Sophie Smith still has her place in the squad. Because honest to God, we need to stand here and eat crow for a minute because she has proven coming off the bench that she has a ton to offer. Like you said, I'm certain off the pitch as well, she's being an incredible mentor to some of those midfielders. But yeah, no, I mean, credit to her for proving us wrong. Full stop. She proved us wrong.
Yep. As simple as that.
Yep.
Moving on, our starting goalkeeper, Kaylin Sheridan, 27-year-old, 35 caps. She plays with the San Diego Wave in the NWSL. She only won 1 trophy, and that's the Summer Olympics. And I just wanted to give her what's owed to her because she didn't win a lot of trophies, but look at the individual performances that she was able to win and the individual honors that she was able to win. So in the CONCACAF W Championship, she was in the best 11 in 2022. She won the Golden Glove also in 2022 in the CONCACAF W Championship. She was the NWSL Goalkeeper of the Year in 2022, and she was in the best 11 in 2021, 2022. That's how good Kaylin Sheridan is. And I called her the Wall.
Rightfully so. That's an excellent nickname for her because she absolutely is. You think back to Canada at the She Believes Cup, and a few times, I mean, obviously, unfortunately, she did have to leave through injury partway through. But she stood on her head on several occasions. She lost her place at the Olympics to Steph Labbe, who obviously did what she did.
But she lost her place because she got injured in the Challenge Cup. So
that's
She Believes Cup, sorry.
But no, she's been fantastic. I mean, with the Wave, she's enormous, she's immense. She's a defensive, she's a wall, like you said. Really excited. Yeah, really excited. She has, again, some of her best years are also still in front of her.
Yeah.
So it's so weird to think about with this Canadian squad because there are so many players who have been in big match situations already. So you feel like they're veterans, but then you look at them and they're in their early mid-20s. And so you kind of can't help but almost feel spoiled because it's not as though they're going to be carried away by the occasion or anything. And she's just another one of them like that.
Next up is the one and only Christine Sinclair, the captain as a forward. She's 40 years old right now, 323 caps for Christine Sinclair. Portland Thorns, listen, I had to cut a lot of her honors and her collective winnings because there wasn't enough space. Same thing for Kanisha Buchanan, by the way. So she won the NCAA championship with the University of Portland in 2002, 2005. She won the WPS championship in 2010 with the Gold Pride. 2011, again, WPS with the Western New York Flash. And the WPS was before the NWSL, by the way. She also won the NWSL championship with the Thorns in 2013, 2017, and 2022. And with Canada, of course, she's been here for the whole ride. So the Women's Championship in 2010, Summer Olympics 2021, and the bronze medals 2012 and 2016. The greatest of all time, the GOAT, Christine Sinclair.
What more? I mean, what needs to be said about Christine Sinclair? Yeah.
Nothing.
No.
We're so lucky that she's still here at 40 years old.
Yeah.
I don't think she's going to be, able to play, the whole games, 90 minutes on each game. She is going to be an integral part of the team, maybe either for maybe 45, 50, 60 minutes, or sometimes off the bench. So we'll see what Bev Priestman does with her. But we have enough players to fill the holes whenever Christine Sinclair is not here. Hopefully they'll learn from Christine Sinclair during that tournament.
Totally agree. All right, next up.
And at the other end of the spectrum, you have Olivia Smith. That's only 18 years old, 2 caps. We don't know where she plays.
Professional career. Yeah.
Exactly, because she said that she signed with a very big European club, but
she can't
we
say
don't know
which.
where. She can't say which, and we don't know where it is yet. So we're waiting to hear that. Storyline: the youth. You all know how much I love the youth, right? So very exciting to see Olivia Smith and
I think this for me was the most surprising call up, in all honesty. Really, really, really surprised, but I think this means that Bev Priestman has huge plans for her if she's integrating her to a World Cup squad at only the age of 18. So really, really fascinated. I'm not sure if she's going to get minutes because, again, she's so young. And I think we've talked a lot about the other players and their honors and their exploits. But if nothing, to be part of this squad and to go through that experience is going to be tremendous for her development as a player.
True. Next up is our friend.
It's the hype train.
Evelyn Vian, the forward, 26 years old, 18 caps. She plays with Kristianstad in Sweden. She won the Summer Olympics in 2021. And I called her a serial killer.
My God, Hady. I did not proofread these names, people.
It's okay. It's okay. But
I know.
She's
a mercenary.
She's a mercenary. She's so good in front of goal, and I hope that she's gonna have the chance she deserves because she's so good up front. She can score in all the positions that you want, and she's the one that should be the starter up front for the women's national team. So hopefully we'll see her get that chance.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of been hard for her, I think, to carve out a place in this squad. But she finally started getting kind of a more consistent look in, I would say. When they played the friendlies...
But Kristen didn't have a choice. Did you see her season in Sweden? You cannot avoid
I'm saying. Her. But that's what I'm saying is, when they played those friendlies, they played them in Europe and they played against Morocco, I think, and Argentina. When they played those 2 friendlies.
Yeah.
Remember back when? I don't know what year it was anymore because the time is an abstract concept for me. It was in the fall sometime, but I can't. Maybe it was 2021. Anyway, I'm getting off track.
It was in October 2022. 4-0 win against Morocco.
Yeah.
And the 6th of October, 2-0 win against Argentina.
Right, and I mean, she was just so incredibly involved in the scoring for those 2 matches that I feel like she almost left Bev Priestman with no choice. Like I said, it had been hard for her. I don't know if Bev Priestman maybe is a huge fan of the Swedish leagues, not sure. But yeah, she's been a tremendous player for Kristianstad, and hopefully she's going to continue that performance with Canada.
And last but not least, Shelina Zadorsky. She is 30-year-old, 89 caps already with Canada. She plays with Tottenham in England. Of course, the Summer Olympics in 2021, winner of that, the bronze in 2016. The long ball expert. I love her diagonals. I love the fact that she finds, she's so precise with her long balls. And she's very interesting to be as a sweeper in that back line. So if you're playing with a back 3, I think that Shelina Zadorsky should be in the middle between Kadisha Buchanan and Vanessa Gilles.
Agree. Also, Sam Savvy's favorite player for the women's national team. She's had such a hard go of it this year in 2023. She had some really intense bouts with illness. She had a bunch of illnesses basically back to back. So obviously recovering for her has been really tricky. Really, really huge credit to her for coming back and for finding her place in the squad. I think it's really important for her to get some minutes in at this World Cup to reestablish her place, because it's hard to compete with Kadisha Buchanan and Vanessa Gilles. Yeah. But like you said, in a back three, I think she absolutely has her place.
We'll see what Bev Friesman is going to do. Of course, we saw the 23 players that were called up. There was a lot of disappointments for other players that weren't called up. Desiree Scott, of course, missing the World Cup. She's been so important for that team. Clarissa Larisi, that wasn't called up. And, I saw a lot of people saying that maybe, she deserved her place more than Olivia Smith. You have so many players that could have been called up. Bianca Saint-Georges, we talked about her. Jade Rose being selected and then injured. That's also another one of those. Do you think, a part of these players, do you think that Bev Friesman made the right choice with her selection, or do you think that she could have done more?
We'll talk about that when we get to social media. How's that for you?
Let's talk about that later. So that's it for that. I just like the mix of experience and youth in that squad.
And like I said,
it's very important to have young players in their mid-20s, and older players in a group, in a tournament mode. That's what you need. You need a mix of those players, mix of experience and youth. And I think you have the right mix. I was afraid that we were going to have too many experienced players, but I think, adding players like Simi Woodrow, like Olivia Smith, like even Jade Riviere, that are very, very young. And there's others, of course.
For me, like Jade Riviere, say Jordan Idema and stuff like that, they are already super experienced with this national team.
Yeah. But still young at 22.
Yeah,
so they bring that sense of carelessness in a certain way that can help in World Cup mode.
I got you, like that fearlessness.
That fearlessness, yeah, I said carelessness, but I meant fearlessness. We have a question here.
Bold.
I doubt Priestman will be chastised as much as Herdman did for the Gold Cup selections.
I completely agree.
Completely agree with Eric Labrosse asking us that. Completely agree with you, Eric. I think that she won the tournament, man. She did win a tournament. Yep. She won the Olympics. What did John Herdman do? She didn't win anything. He had a chance of winning, and he didn't win it. So for me, it's
when Hady turns his back on you, he turns.
Yeah, true.
No, but overall, I completely agree. I think Bev Priestman has a ton of, just like John Herdman was given a lot of latitude after he brought Canada to the World Cup. I think by virtue, certainly, of bringing a gold medal to Canada, I think Bev Priestman has been given a ton of latitude. And spoiler, the bulk of her selections, I have no qualm with. I'm not scratching my head at at as many of these players as I was at the Gold Cup. So, I think it's a lot easier to rationalize her selections than it is to rationalize John Herdman's. But again, we will expand more on that during the social media segment.
Let's go ahead with the social media segment. The floor is all yours, Yves Paul.
I go a little bit out of order, so I'm going to hope I pick the right one here.
Go ahead.
So we have Laura Bryan, who says, something doesn't sit right with me. Bev said specifically she wished she could have named 23 players in June because she didn't want the clutter of 25 players. And then she brings in a 26th player in Smith, named Smith to the roster over Larisse and Alidou. That's gotta hurt. And you know what? I do feel terrible for Clarissa Larisse, who's having a great season in Sweden, and as well for Marie-Yasmine Alidou, who just made a huge move to Benfica. So I gotta say, it's tough. What do you think?
Tough. It is tough, but you know what? At one point, you have to make those decisions, and even if it's tough decisions, you have to think about the team's chances at winning silverware right now, but also building the team's success for the future. Having Olivia Smith experiencing a World Cup, even if she doesn't play one single minute, is so important and valuable for the next World Cup, for the next cycle, that you need to invest in her. Now, I think that, for Clarissa Arisi, maybe she could have been chosen in front of Michelle Prince, that has been,
kind of
missing ACL and question mark. And I think, that's something, but I don't think that Olivia Smith should be the target of that. But of course, it hurts. Of course, it hurts. Marie-Yasmine Alidou, Clarissa Arisi, they improved so much, and they made, as you said, big moves recently. Clarissa Arisi moving to Sweden not too long ago, and Alidou moving to Benfica. So, hopefully they'll get their chance after the World Cup to prove their worth, and to be an integral part of that squad. But I wouldn't be too harsh on Beth Friesman, because all decisions were going to be tough, and this is one of them.
Fair enough. All right, next up, keeping with our theme, Christine Sinclair. So this is from Summer Korotowski. Christine Sinclair made her senior debut at the Algarve Cup in 2000. Olivia Smith wasn't born until 2004. The age range of this team is wild. I think we kind of talked about it.
Yeah, but it's interesting to see the difference. I'm just going to tell you something.
Okay.
I think Christine Sinclair is the only player, I think, in the world right now, because Atiba Hutchinson has retired, that is older than me. So.
Oh no! There is. Who is the Japanese player who has continued to play for all eternity? He's a guy. I can't put my finger on his name, but it's like if you said it, I'd know.
But he doesn't play anymore. I'm saying.
Oh, did he finally retire?
I think so.
Okay. So. Anyway, like we don't need to go down that rabbit hole right now,
exactly.
But you know who I mean.
Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna go down that rabbit hole on my own after take a look and find out if he's still playing. But no, they are definitely up there, and like we even saw, like, Megan Rapinoe has announced that she'll be retiring after this World Cup from international play. And still no word from Christine Sinclair on that, so we'll see. Obviously,
let's wait and see.
Yep, exactly. Next up.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's hard. Hey, hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So interested to see who can step up and help out in the midfield with Schmidt, Fleming, Grosso, and Quinn. They're all going to be relied on a lot for Canada. I got to tell you, because Canada often plays with kind of three central midfielders, right? And sometimes Christine Sinclair also plays in the midfield because she plays a lot deeper now as she's become more of a veteran. So it is really interesting to see who's going to be called upon. For me, can I do like my left field bet?
Of course.
I can see Simi Awujo maybe getting a bigger role in the group stage.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, Simi Awujo is not called up to make the numbers. She has something to say and something to prove, and she can claim and get minutes right away from the get-go. I think from the first game against those teams that are going to be very physical. If I remember correctly, I'm trying to remember the group that
Nigeria, Republic of Ireland.
Exactly. Yeah, so against Nigeria and Ireland, I think that we can see Simi Awujo be starter maybe in that game.
I would love that.
Don't forget that we talked about it. We have so many players that can play multiple decisions. You talked about Christine Sinclair, but there's also Ashley Lawrence. There's also Gabrielle Cab.
Yep.
Those players can also play in the midfield. So yes, you see them divided into defenders, midfielders, and forwards, but in
that's
the
like officially,
mode,
yeah.
In the tournament mode, if you need to put Ashley Lawrence in the middle to create something, you're going to do that. And Beth Friesman did that already, and she might do that again.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
And by the way, if you don't follow her, you should follow her because she knows everything about women's soccer.
Love that. Awesome. Alrighty, next up, we have only Les Rouges. Next A camp, I would love to see this, and Les Rouges has posted a starting 11, so I'll just read it out for the benefit of anybody listening. Dane Sinclair, Derek Cornelius, Zach McGraw, Alistair Johnston as center backs. Dane Sinclair is the goalkeeper, obviously. Alfonso Davies at left wing back, and Tajon Buchanan at right wing back, and then a midfield trio of Steve Eustachio, Ismail Kone, and Ahmed Hamdi. Sorry, Ali Ahmed. Wrong team on my mind. Ali Ahmed. I apologize. And then Jonathan David and Kyle Laren up top as two strikers. What do you think of this?
I don't like it. I'm sorry. I don't like the back three, and I don't like. I think that yes, Dane Sinclair had a very good performance, but I think that the jury's still out. Not with Borjan, but I think that either Sinclair, Sirois, or Mehdi Crépeau could be that starting goalkeeper. So depending on what we're gonna see, and the back line. I'm sorry. I know everyone wants to see Derek Cornelius. I know that Kamal Miller had some very, not very good games with the Canadian national team and with Inter Miami, but I think he's still, for me, a first-team starter in a national team, and he deserves his place. And Zach McGraw, please do not put him in the middle of the back three. No, I don't agree with that. And for me, Alistair Johnston is as a right wing back, right center back. He can be good against, weaker opposition.
Yeah.
But against strong opposition, I don't think that's his best place. So
yeah.
Also, Richie Laryea is very good.
That is true. I do like the midfield though. Ali Ahmed, Ismail Kone, and Steve Eustachio. That's an exciting midfield trio for me. I really like it. So I am going to say that I really like that midfield trio.
Yeah, Ali Ahmed for me won his place with the Canadian national team just with that.
Completely agree. Wholeheartedly 100%. Agree with you. Yeah. What would do our last tweet?
Same thing for Liam Miller and Jacob Schaffelberg.
Oh yeah.
Those three players have to be there every camp. International window.
Agree.
If there are any. Whoops. But
all right. Okay, last tweet. So this is, oh my goodness, this is Linda Schaffelberg. So this goal has more meaning than many will ever know. Amazing, Jacob, which I assume is Jacob Schaffelberg's Twitter handle. So proud of you. And it's a retweet, of course, of Jacob Schaffelberg's goal in extra time, which we already saw. So I believe this is a proud mom, if I had to guess.
Yeah, but you know what? We're all proud of him, and I think that he deserves to be called up. I'm just very curious to know, the unsaid things in that tweet. I'm just very curious. Maybe it's the
well, for me, as an East Coaster turned Montrealer, it was really hard for me because Jacob Schaffelberg is from Nova Scotia, and I was like, oh my god, we got a Nova Scotian player in MLS. I was like, oh god, he plays for Toronto. What am I gonna do? Now he plays for Nashville though, so I feel a little more secure. But it's super exciting to see somebody from the East Coast because you never see people from my neck of the woods making it with the national team. So really exciting, really happy for him. Happy for his mom too, of course. Yeah, what more to say?
Exactly, what more to say?
Alrighty, Hady, back to you.
That's it for social media. I thought that was another tweet, my mistake.
I don't think so.
No, it's okay. No worries. So, guys, I hope you guys loved our episode. I know it was long again, but when there's 2 games and a World Cup coming, there's no choice. We have to make a long episode. I hope you guys liked it. If you like our content, I'll always say it. We do have a Patreon page, so feel free to go and join and contribute. As you can see, we have a new overlay backgrounds and stuff like that for our broadcast. So
we're still learning how to use it, but all good.
But I think it's pretty awesome what we have right now.
It's a good look.
Thanks everyone for being here and for listening to our show. Feel free to share our content and to talk about us to your friends and everybody that might like our content. And see you next week for another episode of The Ball Is Wrong.